It is June 16th. This is your MetaMentors weekly crypto rewind and forecast coming up. This week, 4 topics. We've got the firefighter union's self-custody of Bitcoin, the fallout from the SEC with some major brands, Animoca, Coinbase, you already know. Crypto.com suspends their US exchange. Remember, they're heavy in the US. They've got an arena with their name plastered all over. Well, or they did have it plastered, didn't they? That got suspended a while back.
No, they're still there. This is the institutional exchange. This is for institutions, not their US exchange, just their primary institutional exchange.
So Ben will break that down. You can tell he is an expert. He knows what's up there. And last but not least, one of the projects I'm following, Illuvium, partners up with GameStop, has an auction going right now as we record. When we release this on Friday, the auction will have ended, but it's gotten a fair amount of attention pairing up with GameStop. So those are your topics this week. This is June 16th. Here we go.
All right, so we talked last week about the SEC lawsuit and getting after Binance US as well as Coinbase and the ripple effect that's having throughout the market. But let me stress that is through the US market. And what's going to happen is not what the people in charge think is going to happen, because they've taken so long to lay out any sort of ground rules for what we need to do that, like we mentioned last week, this isn't going to slow down growth worldwide. It's just going to stunt the growth and the possibility of making that money here in America. For example, Animoca Brands, now that their token Sand, which is the operating coin from the Sandbox, as well as a ton of other projects, their token Sand has been deemed a security. So they're one of the heads on the chopping blocks for American exchanges. So rather than concern themselves with American law at all, they're just going to focus everywhere else. So they're based in Hong Kong, and they said, yeah, America is a market. It is not the market. And they're just going to focus on other parts of the world. I mean, America, even if we didn't have all this trouble right now, we're just a mid-level player in the Web3 and crypto. So we're not even something that companies are really hanging on to. And that's apparent by Animoca Brands, who's one of the biggest Web3 and, crypto projects out there. They're just literally going elsewhere. They said they're going to avoid the the blockchain hostile approach in the United States. So they're just not going to focus on countries like America that are putting so much stress and pressure on there. So again, that doesn't hurt Animoca. It hinders the American citizen who wants to be a part of it, who wants to be able to participate in this. It's going to make it harder to get the coins, to get the stuff, especially through these exchanges that are also getting slapped right now.
Yeah, that's a huge slap. Animoca is, how many projects we've looked into or even done on this show that Animoca has their hand in either a small or big way. And when somebody like that is like, and I can't blame them when somebody like that leaves or just says, you know what, we're just not going to play on your field. We'll go play on all these other fields. That's setting the pace for some of these other companies that are either there or already or thinking about joining. It seems real. It just keeps kind of mounting. I'm gonna keep my head up high, but man, these companies, we're just not. Right. We're scaring off a lot of technology and talent.
Yeah, I was gonna say the talent is the problem. Whenever these people decide to start working for these overseas brands, it's the next step is they're gone. And then when America does pull their head out of their butt and starts allowing this stuff to happen, everybody's already going to be snatched up and working in a different country. One of those, Hong Kong, where Animoca is based, is very crypto friendly. In fact, Hong Kong legislator Johnny Ng, I don't know how you say that, NG, he's actually made it a public, after the SEC lawsuit, he's actually pitching to crypto companies, to American-based crypto companies like Coinbase, which is one of the biggest. He said, hey, come set up shop here in Hong Kong. Crypto-friendly, tax-friendly, resident-friendly. they're throwing out offers for all this. And there's a lot of crypto companies already based there. So you wouldn't even be moving in and setting up all the infrastructure. You already have the technology, you have the infrastructure, you have the people, you have the talent to get the stuff done. Thankfully, Coinbase is really trying to play ball with the American government here. They are trying to do it. They're not just picking up and running. They haven't publicly responded to this, but their CEO has made it clear that they want to operate in America. They just need the SEC to tell them what they need to do. And the SEC sues them, but won't give them any guidelines to actually, operate by. And like we again mentioned last week, they won't give them any guidelines. They are actively suing them. And another branch of the same federal government is using them actively to get rid of Bitcoin, which has been deemed a commodity. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more. But with all the stuff that is going wrong in the crypto and the security side of it, it is making Bitcoin look a lot better because it's where all the money is going right now. So we're going to talk about crypto prices here later. But one thing that's holding pretty steady is the old classic Bitcoin. So that's what I've got. Hong Kong wants all of our business, and it seems like America wants them to have it. So they're trying to get rid of it as fast as possible. When it comes time to vote, make sure you're voting for a crypto-friendly politician.
All right, Ben, you may have heard some news here. There was a firefighter union in California, the first one, I think it might even be the very first union period to purchase Bitcoin and to hold it themselves, self-custody, off the market, not an exchange. That's the difference. Other unions, I guess, have bought into with an exchange and held it in exchange. This is the first time self-custody. It's a huge deal, big enough that Pomp jumped all over it. And so I'm just going to let this video play some clips. There's a really good lesson in here that was kind of an aha moment for me that once we get there, we'll talk about. But let's watch this video.
Explain what is the union and why are the firefighters all coming together to make this decision?
Yeah, so the firefighters union, each department or members of that department have a union that's a chapter of a state union, national union. And in the case of Santa Monica, it's 113 members that make up this union. The step that occurred, and there was a long path to kind of get there, was basically a one-time assessment to explore Bitcoin, not just as an asset, but as a network, as a monetary instrument, as an innovation, and take a step to do that. And so what occurred was a very, very small allocation one time to self-custody Bitcoin. And that, as far as I know, is the first time that a union in the country has self-custodied Bitcoin. Others have purchased it, held it on their balance sheet, pension funds, et cetera, but not in this way.
So this union is the first one to actually self-custody, which you and I know means that you buy the Bitcoin and you get it completely off the market into a secure wallet, whether it's a soft wallet or a hard wallet. It's not on an exchange. It's self-custody, which is very unique because when you think of unions and associations and stuff like that, they're always partnering with these entities to manage the funds, manage the wealth. They generally don't have hands-on, but with Bitcoin, that's exactly what they're doing here. All right, here's the next clip where he's going to start talking, and this is the aha moment for me, is he's talking about a very small dollar amount to get started with.
Of mistakes, failures, learning is extremely low. And when I say a small dollar amount, like we're talking like something that I believe most people it'd be laughable, right? You're like, oh, is this like a joke? But the thing is there are a lot of reasons why I think this route is beneficial for groups, unions, organizations. And we've seen some already just now. We did this prior to, the SEC pursuing Binance and Coinbase. And can you imagine if a union put $1,000 a person into, something they don't quite grasp? And you're seeing these headlines of the SEC, the United States, is now pursuing these exchanges and saying what you're doing is not right. You're breaking the law. Wait, what? So it has to be an amount to overcome a lot of these hurdles. Price drops, I mean, right? Like, hey, when you zoom out, Bitcoin is heading in this direction. When you zoom in, it's a roller coaster. How do you overcome those drops? It has to be small enough to learn. You cannot put in more than your level of education on it, because then it will not become a thing that lasts. It will become something that ends fairly quick. So that's how we are at a comfort level, is that the amount is so inconsequential that folks can be like, sure, let's do self-custody. Let's learn it that way. And you can start that learning.
I thought that for me, that was a big aha moment for two reasons. He's talking about an inconsequential dollar amount that would be laughable to most people. But what is it? It's skin in the game. Like, you're putting skin in the game now so that people are going to actually pay attention, maybe, or get interested. Maybe firefighters that are not aware of what's going on in the crypto market are going to see this and say, whoa, what is this Bitcoin deal? And why did we, let's just use an example. Why did we buy $2 a person worth of Bitcoin? Like, that seems that's ridiculous. Why would they do that? Let me investigate. It's getting some skin in the game, opening the door, which brings up the second part to this that's so vital that I'm realizing I cannot say enough when I'm talking to people about Bitcoin and crypto. Our mindset is that you have to own the whole coin, or you have to own the whole asset, or what. Crypto is unique in you can buy a fraction of it, you can buy a fraction of Bitcoin. So most people, when they see Bitcoin at 25, 26,000 or 60,000, whatever it is, they're like, well, I can't afford that. That's out of my real. They don't stop to think, I can buy with $1. I can buy with $10.
Right.
That just doesn't seem reasonable. And even when somebody tells them that, they're like, they still are stuck on, well, I want to own the whole thing. Maybe I'll just wait.
Right. And I think a lot of it that holds it back is, well, if you had the ability to buy $10 worth of gold, that would be cool, but that would be so small that then you'd have to remember where you put it, and you'd have to remember to grab it whenever you moved, and you'd have to do it here and you'd have to do it there. But one of the things, like you were saying, the uniqueness of crypto is you buy a little bit and then it just comes with you. Whether you move and 10 years down the road, you go, oh yeah, I do have some of that Bitcoin. You know what I mean? You don't have to go back and try to find it. It's there in your wallet. It's in your account. It's digital. You can bring it up from any computer, and you're like, you know what? I think I'll add a little bit more to it. You've already got some. It's not like going,
right,
oh, I'll buy a little tiny, a 1/10 of an ounce gold coin, and then you lose it. And you're like, next time you're like, I want to buy it, but now basically all I'm doing is replacing the one I already bought. You know what I mean? And it's not that way with crypto. It's like you can take that baby step right now, and then as you watch it and get comfortable with it, if you see your $10 go to 20, you'll be like, wait a minute, that actually seems like a pretty good idea. Or if you see your $10 go to 9, go to 11, go to 9, go to 12, just hang right there, and you're like, okay, this is pretty stable. This is safe enough. Maybe I'll try $100. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll do this. And you kind of follow along. And like this fella said, don't invest more than your knowledge about the subject. And it's like, this just gives you something. This is like betting on, football games. You bet on a football game, then you're paying attention to a football game like this. Even if it's the Dallas Cowboys, who nobody cares about, you're still like, well, now I'm interested in the game, even if it's $5, even if you bet somebody, the $5 for dinner or a pop or something. If you have any money in the game, all of a sudden, woo, you're cheering them on, and it's much more exciting,
Yeah, you're invested. Yeah. I thought that was. Thanks for bringing that. Such a good point. You can't put more in. You can't put more in than the level of your education. I thought, man, that's so true. And you got to be careful about that, because I like to go heavy on some stuff, and so it was a good reminder for me.
And that's one thing. It is a little bit different, especially when you're doing individual. I've gone heavy in on stuff I don't know, and I've paid the price. But thankfully, I've stuck around, and it's like, okay, I need to be a little smarter the next time. But in an organization, especially like a union, Like
Yeah.
he said, you put in $1,000 per person, you put it into the Wichita Union, that's several $100,000. And then it's like, and then you got people who are like, hey, isn't the SEC suing everybody who's selling crypto? You know what I mean? Like,
What,
then
and
it becomes
firemen, the heat that you
right,
would like,
right.
like no pun intended, the heat that would come down.
Way more pressure. And it's like, but if it's a laughable amount, if it's like, well, we paid, $80 to get a couple of 30 packs of soda for the next union meeting, and we paid the same amount to buy some Bitcoin just to get our toes in. Just we bought some Bitcoin. We did what we, okay, we're in. We officially have it now, but now everybody's got a little bit of skin in the game. Now, the union is officially a holder of Bitcoin, you know?
Yeah, opening the door, and he's gonna talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What has the response been from other unions or other types of organizations where kind of people collectively come together and they're trying to advocate for certain interests? Or has there been inbound, and what are those conversations have they been like?
They're just tipping off. Got a lot of good response. One of the things I'm working on and almost done with that I'll probably put out on like a Substack for anyone who's a union member, organization person that wants to see this is like almost like a blueprint template of how to navigate this, but also you can customize it for your union. And the response has been good though, because again, the response has been a hunger for more information, right? Like we're talking about, like, how'd you guys do it? What did you guys get in exactly? And that's another benefit of the small allocation is like, wait, what did you guys do? Like, you guys were the first to do this, but it's this small amount. And like, and then do you turn to your right and go, hey, Joe, why are we not doing this? This seems like really non or inconsequential, low risk. Like, what's the harm? Where's the harm? Great. Let's spur that conversation.
So there he is again. It's such a minute amount. It's laughable. Like, there's no harm that's going to come to it. It opens a conversation, right? And that's where it all begins. And again, they're doing it as a union, which is just incredible. Again, that they're making it this far. I'll sum it up. This just gives more legitimacy to Bitcoin and then other cryptos going down the road, but specifically Bitcoin, that you have a union that's buying it, taking custody of it, and holding it in for their members. Like, just for me, that's a lot. It's adding legitimacy every time we see this. All right, this last part really kind of gets interesting. This gets into like some of the deeper stuff that's going on right now in the market.
Really dives into CalPERS and the pension and how Bitcoin can serve as a stabilizer for pensions without much risk as well.
Explain that. Explain what's going on there.
Yeah, so CalPERS, largest defined benefit public pension in the United States. They got roughly $440 billion on the books. In June of 2022, they had a funded status of 72%. And this is something for us that are in, the labor world, we've seen many times, but the funded status of labor of pensions comes up frequently. And so how do these pensions that are chasing workers living longer years, retiring later, all these actuarials that get factored in, they don't have much appetite for risk. How can they stabilize their portfolio without a bailout, which is kind of like what happens if it drops too low, right? And they have to liquidate assets and all that stuff. So this concept of a pre-funding, a lot of pensions have these pre-funding trusts, which is basically almost like a side fund to help fund what's called unfunded liabilities. And by injecting Bitcoin at that level, they can keep all their assets in their main portfolio, not switch anything over to Bitcoin, and pursue things that way. You also have this, look what's happening in California, right? You have the state Senate just passed a measure advising they want to divest from fossil fuels and big oil. Fossil fuels and big oil are 10% of the portfolio, 42 billion for CalPERS. Where are they going to go? It's one of their best performing assets. What are they going to move into? Commercial real estate. We got some issues coming up, right? Like we got some challenges. So Bitcoin is this asymmetrical asset that if they explore it outside of the pension, it can be used as a stabilizer for the pension without taking much risk, of all the funds that are involved.
So he's talking about these major pension funds being able to diversify and stabilize some of their funds with Bitcoin. Like he used the number, this CalPERS, which it sounds like it's the biggest pension fund management system there is, and they've got 42 billion in oil and these commodities that they are maybe wanting to diverse. The commercial market's taking a huge hit. Again, we're not just talking about a currency. We're talking about, like he said at the beginning, a network and innovation. He's using the word stabilizer. You're here as time goes on, you hear people use and describe Bitcoin in more and more practical ways, stabilizing a pension fund. I hadn't heard that one before, but it's pretty incredible that these guys are already looking into it. This union member, a fireman's already kind of going down this road, and he's leading his union into it. We don't know what the future is going to be, but it's pretty fascinating, all these different angles that Bitcoin is, all these holes that Bitcoin is filling gaps in, or potentially filling plugs, into these leaking holes in the dam.
Yep. You know what I was just thinking about when you reference it along the firefighter timeline. When I first started looking at Bitcoin, not when I was first told about Bitcoin, but when I first started buying Bitcoin and getting interested in it, it was late 2016, maybe early 2017, and it was $750 a coin because it was 3 shift exchanges. Not that anybody does cash shift exchanges, but it was 3 shift exchanges for a coin. When I left in 2019, summer of 2019, it was $7,500 a coin, and it had come down from over $20,000. It had got up to 20,000, but from 2017 to 2019, it went up 10 times. It was $7,500, and now from 2019 to 2023, it had got up to almost $70,000, but it came back down. Right now, it's $28,000. So it went up 4x again. Like this guy says, when you look at it zoomed out on a 10-year deal, It's going like this. When you zoom in to see what it's done the last 6 months, it's like, well, how can that be consistent? How can that? And if you're thinking about it, especially on not a personal level, if you're not thinking about, okay, I want this money, and then hopefully in 2 or 3 years it's worth this much. But if you start buying it like property, like energy, like any other the WFRA and the union, they've been buying into funds for 50 years. You know what I mean? Like they've been buying into these funds for a long time. Over the course of 50 years, if it goes like this, you know what I mean? And it's crazy to think about because you're not going, I'm hoping that this pays us back, that we can cash out in 3 years and we make a little bit more money. This is a stabilizing asset. This is like gold. You don't buy gold to hope that it goes up and then you can sell it. You buy gold because now when you get in trouble or everything else is going crazy and people are going in 70 and 80% swings, you're just slowly rising up. You've got a nice stable, the top part of it with all the funds, with all the stuff that goes crazy on the dips and dives in the S&P 500. But your underlying assets, your real estate, your physical property, your gold, your Bitcoin just keeps bringing it up over the course of however long you have it. And institutions like unions or school groups or cities or municipalities, anything like that has that on their books, even if they're just getting started, provides some sort of eternal stability. I mean, for as long as, these assets are going to last.
Yeah. If we ever get regulation, as they said, that you'll see all these big entities, they're already preparing to buy into it. And some of them already are, but yeah.
Yeah, and the regulation
form your own opinion. This is not financial advice, but man,
the regulation is on the buying and the selling, like where you can do it, how you can do it, like the exchanges. That's like someone explaining, how you're allowed to sell real estate. That doesn't mean real estate's not a good investment. That means, okay, well, there's rules on who can buy it and when you can buy it and how you can sell it and whatever in America. But it doesn't change the fact that owning all the real estate, or as much real estate as you can, or as much property as you can, is a good investment. The regulation isn't going, oh no, you can't have land, you can't have, you know what I mean, you can't own this property.
Yeah.
The regulation is how can it be bought and sold and what kind of exchanges, and they're making sure that the exchanges are doing it ethically, legally, and by the rules that the government has already set. The question isn't the asset. Bitcoin isn't in question. The exchanges that are buying and selling, how people are getting it, is the question, and to make sure that it's not going to rip off American investors. Behind all of the BS, the SEC, their main goal is to make sure that Joe Average doesn't get ripped off. Now, a lot of it's BS, but the asset isn't what's in question. The buying and the selling, the staking, the interest bearing, you know what I mean? The stuff like that. The companies behind it, the companies behind the securities like Polygon, like Solana, not Bitcoin, which is a commodity. There is no company behind it. It's like gold. It's like digital gold. It's like if you found a block of gold in your backyard, it's not illegal to hold gold. Now, you can't just go sell it and not pay taxes on it, or trade it for a car without the government being involved, but you can have it. You can own it and hold it. The asset is okay. The exchange of it is what they're trying to figure out right now. Actually, that's a perfect lead in. We're just going to go straight into, because the next thing we're going to talk about is crypto.com's institutional exchanges. So if institutions like unions or municipalities wanted to invest, some of these exchanges have institutional sides to them where they can actually provide the storage, the holding, the getting, the receiving, you know what I mean? All of the things that you would have to do. With the SEC getting up the butt of all of these exchanges, crypto.com, who is a major one, has to shut down its institutional, and I say has to, it's doing it because it's not getting enough interest. With SEC holding this lawsuit over the head, there are no institutions that are ready to go have their stuff held in this exchange, because the exchange is what's at risk here, not the assets. If a group of guys, if 10 guys decided to get together and buy Bitcoin and hold it, or buy it from an individual and hold it, that's never the question. That's not what's at stake here. What's at stake is the exchanges. And so crypto.com, like Coinbase, is getting a lot of heat from the recent SEC crackdown and the lawsuits. So because obviously, like any other fund or hedge, any other bit of managed finance, when there's this much legal pressure around it, you're not getting the people putting the money in. And if the people aren't putting the money in, there's no reason to be open. So temporarily, crypto.com has shut down their institutional exchange until they can get some sort of framework from the SEC on what they're allowed to do, what coins they're allowed to sell, what coins they're allowed to have staked, and stuff like that. That's bad news, again, for America, because it's not affecting crypto.com. They're just going elsewhere, because there's other places, there's other companies, countries, municipalities, territories, people outside of America who are still able to use this. It just affects if a company or like a union here in America decided, let's do it, but we don't need to self-custody. We want to buy it from an exchange and have them hold it. They can't do that, not through crypto.com, because the SEC has got it all twisted up right now. And because of those, because we'll just move right on, because of all of that heat that the SEC is bringing down, this is what the crypto market looks like right now. Everything except for stable coins is blood red. True USD stable coin, red. In the top 100, only stable coins are even hold it. And that's not all of these are securities. Bitcoin has been classified by the SEC as a commodity, so it's not even affected. But because of all the crap and all the money leaving and everybody having to move their money around, the whole market is taking a crap. Some of them are taking less of a crap than others. Bitcoin is going to be the big winner out of this because a lot of these get moved into USD and then moved over to Bitcoin. You'll see a lot of influx into the stable coins over the next couple of weeks while people decide where they're going to let their money lay and see if the SEC is going to do anything in between now and then. But a lot of these are taking a hit. And that's because, one, they're losing American customers, and two, because people who are speculating on the prices know that they're losing American customers. So they're going to sell it now, wait for it to drop a little bit, buy back in, and then ride it up. Because when you know it's going down, now's the time, to get out and then buy it again when it goes lower. But like you and I talk about, if you're not into speculating, if you're into long-term holding, a lot of these projects are going to be here in 25 and 50 years. And not financial advice, these are the lowest prices I've seen in a long time. Cardano is under 30 cents. I bought a couple $100 more worth of Cardano this week. Dogecoin, stuff like that, you don't need to look at that stuff. It might be a fun play, but there are serious projects like Polygon. That's cut in half. That's half of what it was.
50% from it, 2 months ago.
So, but even like Litecoin's still up 300% from just a few months ago. So there are some that they're all going down, but some of them are strong projects and they are operating outside of America and they are not fundamentally affected by the choices that the American SEC makes. We are one small country in a big, big world of Web3 and crypto.
Yeah, and that's something worth pointing out too, is holding these currencies, even if the US comes down regulation, comes down hard on crypto or whatever, the fact that you still hold them until they say you can't use them, which buying them, like you said, buying and selling is one thing. For them to say you can't utilize them is a whole nother thing. So holding that crypto in your wallet, living in the US, SEC comes down hard on crypto, basically tries to destroy it. There's probably still going to be the ability to utilize that cryptocurrency lawfully and definitely against the law. But as a holder, that's a concern for me that I'm constantly thinking about is, okay, I'm holding these currencies. Am I still going to be able to use them if I'm in the US, or do I got to get a new residence outside of the US? So,
and it's interesting. I just looked it up because I knew for a good span of time, there was a time in America from 1934 to 74. That's 40 years where owning gold was illegal.
Yeah.
Where they, and it's like, it's not for your own good. It's for the stability of the American government that they make these rules. That doesn't mean that if you had gold in 1934 and you hid it in your trunk, and then in 1974 when it became illegal, all of a sudden it was worth 50 times as much as what you'd bought it. That doesn't mean you can't go spend it. It just means during that time, the American government does not want you to have it. And this is not financial, legal, or probably good advice to say on YouTube. But just because the government says you can't do it doesn't mean you don't have to. You can't do it.
Well, here's the thing. Within a lot of for reasons that you talked about early on in the show, a lot of these projects, let's just use Bitcoin. Without a doubt, and I know I'm not the only one, I've heard many people say this. If the US outlaws Bitcoin, Bitcoin is only going to skyrocket from there. It's not going to decline. It's going to send it even higher. Yeah. So a lot of these projects are that way. So when you look at a project and you take Bitcoin, and I'm now a believer in Bitcoin and its future for what it is. And then I look at the other side, I say, okay, well, I live in the US. What if they outlaw Bitcoin? Is it going to tank? No. From what I've seen, it's actually going to go even higher because of it. So for the same reasons with a lot of things, if somebody takes what you want, then you want it even more generally.
Well, here's a perfect example. When they outlawed gold, gold was $20.67 per ounce. When they outlawed gold, the price immediately went to $35. So it went up, almost 100%.
Yeah.
Overnight. And it's like, and that's what it is. It's not, it just makes it harder to get. It makes it harder to buy. It doesn't make it a bad idea to have.
Yeah. And again, and you can add to this, we'll close on this. That is one of the things about crypto is this isn't a US deal. This is a worldwide deal. Poverty-stricken countries, Afghanistan, India, Africa, are using this, trusting it more than any other currency. So,
well, and first world countries and very, very wealthy people in first world countries like Russia who are in war, and Ukraine who are going through war torn, who are leaving, who have to get outside of those boundaries, who have to leave those areas, are moving a lot of their assets into a USB that you can hold like this with a password that you can keep in your head, that if somebody steals your USB or you lose your USB, you can still get at a computer, bring up that password, bring up your wallet. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not just third world countries. This isn't, like shells and beads. This is a very highly advanced asset that everybody is using. That's what makes it so advanced, is you can use it in dirt huts in Africa, or you can use it escaping on your $1 billion yacht when you're leaving Russia. You
just need cell service, which is basically everywhere now.
And you don't have to have cell service to have it. It's not like it has to be in your hand the whole time
to access it.
Cell service could shut all the way down, all except for one computer in the entire world. And when it gets returned, you could just go bring it right back up, because it's all on the blockchain. Everything has been recorded forever since it started.
Forever. Is Illuvium a AAA game franchise, build multiple games. If you've not seen our earlier videos, watch it. But if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to play a real short clip just to kind of catch you up to base or catch you up to speed with what Illuvium is. And then I'm going to tell you the headline with partnership and with GameStop. Okay, so there's just a little quick reminder of what this game is. Those creatures that you're seeing are called Illuviatars, and Illuvium is paired with GameStop to put out 20,000, one time only, 20,000 new Illuviatars with their own looks and everything. I'm going to show them to you, but I'm going to play a quick clip on it. But this is a franchise game trying to be the very first AAA Web3 game to come out. They've already got over 1 million registered players ready to go. Some of them are already testing the games, but just waiting for this game to kick out, and they keep building more. So let's switch videos here. So here's a short clip on the GameStop partnership.
We are excited to announce that the GameStop Illuviatar series is for sale. We handcrafted 108 fun and unique Illuviatars in collaboration with GameStop. Illuviatars are creative, hand-drawn versions of Illuvials that exist beyond the Illuvium universe. This exclusive GameStop collection of Illuviatars is being sold in discs, with only 20,000 available. When you open your discs, they will feature custom pre-bonded accessories with a standard or hollow finish. Elevate your collection with the GameStop Illuviatars branded series. Buy now at illuvium.io/GameStop before they're sold out.
So this is again a partnership with GameStop. Again, a blending of the Web 2 world, the regular video game world, Web 3. Only 20,000. They're auctioning these off, which is what Illuvium has done a whole bunch. And if you remember back, they have been killing it on the way they've been running their auctions. They're so clean, they're crisp. The graphics are awesome, just really, really good. I'll show you a couple of the sites here. But the auction's going as we record this. It ends the 15th. So when we post this on the 16th, it'll already have ended. Unfortunately, if you're watching this, you'll have missed your opportunity. But they're selling for about $50, 0.29 ETH. They're pre-bonded, which I had to look that up. I guess that means it comes with these extras on them that help, power wise or whatever their fighting abilities.
Yeah, they're the stacked NFTs. So
yes,
they're pre-bonded. They're already on there, but you will be able to probably sell some of those and buy other ones. So if it's got the color you want, you can buy somebody else's. If it has an accessory, you can get it because they've got these dynamic stacked NFTs now.
Yes, that's correct. If you buy, like I bought some of the original Illuviatars and it didn't have these extra characteristics, cool items or whatever, which is what you're describing when you bond them. Okay, so as I was mentioned, this is a 4-game franchise that they've got going here. You've got the overworld, which is basically just there's all the different lands and part of this planet. You can go out hunting for these Illuviatars, capture them. Then they become your Illuviatars that you can fight with. These GameStop ones are going to be part of that whole interaction. You've got Illuvium 0, which is the land portion where you can own land, you can cultivate it, you can make energy and fuels and these things called blueprints, and then you can sell them or use them within your own collection. They've got the arena, which is where you take the Illuviatars and they battle it out. We saw some of that on the short video clip. And then you have Beyond, which is this new card game. I believe I didn't get into a lot of this, but it's part of a new game. I think more kind of like, I hate to use this word because I'll probably get this wrong and piss a whole bunch of Pokemon fans off or whatever, but like some style of card game. One of the benefits of buying these unique GameStop Illuviatars is that you're going to get early access to the overworld and the arena. So you're going to get to actually get in on some of the beta before other people are. So that's kind of an added benefit there. But these are some, if you remember, these are some of like the original Illuviatars. I bought some of these. I had 1 or maybe 3 too many drinks and got carried away and bought a few of these down here, these regular Illuviatars, but pretty cool stuff there. Here again, these are the GameStop ones. And it just kind of gets into there. And then the actual auction. So this is back up. They go through, Illuvium goes through AWS, and this was down almost all day. It's just going on 6 o'clock our time. This was down almost all day. So across Twitter and Discord and all that, people were not happy, wanting to know what was going on with this auction. You can see up here, there was originally 20,000. We're a little more than 24 hours into this sale, and they're down to about 14,000. So they've sold about 6, which is pretty decent progress. 20.029 ETH, like I said, about $50. So if you want to get in on some, there you go. And then here, again, Illuvium does such a good job of laying everything out on what you're getting into, what it means, where to find the information. Here's some about the early access, the games. There was just the start of the auction, and then just their blog articles with what's going on here. So again, I am not a gamer, but yet I find myself buying pieces of this game just because I love what the team is doing and I love where they're headed. And I could see myself possibly even spending some time playing it in the future. I hope to go back and buy some land from the 0. If you remember right, I had that stolen from me. By my own fault. And so I'm really wanting to kind of go back and pick up a piece. I've been eyeballing them. I have not pulled the trigger.
Yeah, it's getting stolen. You gave it away.
I gave it.
Somebody asked for it, and you gave it to them.
He said, "Okay." So that's Illuvium. We'll try to keep track of that. They are, I'll close with, they have released if I have this right, the alpha for Illuvium 0, the land game, is already out. You can play it right now if you own land. You can create the blueprints. The beta for the overworld is already happening right now. You need special access to that. So since the last time we covered this or even looked into it, they are progressing, which you can, if you follow their Twitter and that stuff in Discord, you'll see that. But they are progressing. Like, these games are being played now, at least on a testing level, and they're getting closer and closer and closer.